Do you realize that you may not be in control of your life as much as you think? And this is not because you're careless. It's just because there are systems that have helped define your life quietly, consistently, and mostly invincibly. And many of us never even notice. For example, you set your alarm to ring at a particular time, but even that time has been influenced by work or your experiences. The route you use to commute to work has been determined by when you wake up, when you need to arrive at your destination, and a couple of other factors. The money you spend on certain things is based on the price, but even that price has been set off of a system. So in this video, I'm going to be helping you realize that we live inside systems. I mean, even your body is a system. That's why it's called a body system, right? So in this video, the goal is to help you to come to the realization that we actually live inside systems. Not all systems are bad. Some bring order, efficiency, ease, results, clarity. But the thing is, when you don't see these systems, you live by them unconsciously. And therein lies the problem. So there is need for awareness. You see, awareness is the factor that changes your posture when it comes to systems. It prevents you from being swayed by the wind, swayed by the system, to a point where you become more intentional. So the goal is not to get you to escape systems or ignore them, but rather to understand and influence them. I'll use your body as an example again. You see, the moment you actually understand the way your body works, you start to live differently. You realize what works for you, what you need to do, what you need to eat, when you need to sleep, because you have understood your body system better. And that's the viewpoint that I want you to have when you're watching and listening to this video. The main idea is that there are hidden systems behind our daily lives. And here is how you can begin to understand them and live more intentionally. So the first thing you need to do is you need to observe patterns carefully. Pay attention to what happens quite frequently in your life. Anything that repeats. So your habits, your routines, the world around you. These are factors that determine the structure and the system that is shaping your life. They are like things that are living fingerprints. A pattern leaves the fingerprint of the rules that are shaping your life. So what do you need to do at this point? You need to look carefully and observe your routines. When you wake up, what you eat consistently, how you spend your weekends, how you spend your day, right? Then you need to also identify your emotional triggers. What excites you? What frustrates you? What drains you? What stresses you repeatedly, right? The only way you can adjust that is to observe it carefully enough to figure out that it is indeed a pattern and fix it and influence it and change it. You need to identify recurring outcomes. What are the results that keep repeating themselves? Relationally, financially, professionally, like what are those things that are results every single year you see this thing happening. Every single month you see it happening. Once you can identify this, you will be able to influence that system better and live a more intentional life. By observing patterns carefully, you stop living on autopilot. You start noticing the forces behind your decisions, and that's where real change and transformation begins. The second thing you need to do is you need to question what is presented to you. You see this point. I'm sitting very pretty on this table. I'm not someone to often question what is presented to me. But I realized that if you don't question what is presented to you, when you have questions to ask, you most likely become subject to what you've been presented without understanding why exactly you've made yourself subject to it. And the way to question this is to ask why. Why? What? Ask questions. Why am I doing this? Why are you telling me this? The way I see that question why is like a buffer system or a gatekeeper that stands at the point of what you take into your life and the outside world, right? So when someone tells you something, when you question it why, the answer to that question why would determine whether you open up yourself to receive that information or get rid of the information. So even as you're listening to this video and I'm sharing these with you, ask yourself, why do I need to take this serious? Then another thing you need to do as regards this point is you need to consider the source of the information. That source, is it tied to your goal? Is it tied to what you want to achieve? Is it actually tied to where you are going or what you need at that point in time? You need to pay attention. Consider the source of the information. When an information comes to you through somebody, through a book, through whatever medium it comes from, you need to ask yourself, this source, this person, this book, this movie, is this source the kind of source I want to be getting information from? And now we're in the social media era. So when somebody posts something and you look at their, picture or their video or whatever it may be, that source, the way they live their life, the way they attend to the things that they attend to, is that the kind of source you want to be receiving information from? Is that source aligned to your goal, or is it just reinforcing another person's agenda? Now, if it is reinforcing another person's agenda, you need to ask yourself, am I willing to be part of this agenda or not? Again, questions. Question what is presented to you. This is important because the fact that something is common knowledge or common practice doesn't mean that it is right for you. So when you question what is presented, you'll be able to define what is right for you and how to use it to your advantage. By questioning what is presented to you, you stop being manipulated unconsciously. You gain the clarity to see the system's design and the strategy to influence and change that design. The third thing you need to do is be intentional about curating your life. Yes, you have spent time questioning what has been presented to you, but what did you do with the information? You spent time identifying the patterns, but what did you do? There is power when you act intentionally within a system. Systems respond to inputs. Think about your laptop. Whatever you type is what you eventually see on the screen, right? And this is where you come in as a creator. As a creator, you are imputing things. You're producing things. You're not just consuming what you've been given. You're not just receiving the information that you've been given. As a creator, you receive that information, you analyze, you ask questions, and you create or curate what works for you. That is what it means to understand a system, influence that system, and stand strong within that system. We've all been designed to be creative, to be creators, to produce something beautiful. And what it means to be a creator is to start adding to a system. So even if there is a situation where you are within a system, you can stand out in that system when you actually add and influence that system. You begin to influence your work, your life, your community, your opportunities, and this right here is impact. So if you've been asking yourself, why does my life feel like there's nothing happening and nobody is getting blessed from my life? It may just be because you've not come to the point where you've been able to question what is presented to you enough to curate a life that is beneficial for others, and curate a life that you want to live in, that you're happy to live in, produce something, add to a system. You need to become a creator, not just a consumer. When you actually take steps to curate your life, you move from a point where you're just a passenger to a point where you are an active participant. And that's the joy of living a full life. So don't just consume casually. Curate your life. Curate what you consume. As you create, make sure that even what you take in, the movies you watch, the shows you watch, the people you listen to, what you read, has been carefully curated to your own advantage. I've said this in the previous video. I read a lot, but I don't read books by everybody. And I don't read every book or every theme. No. The books I read have been carefully curated for where God has told me that I'm going, or the season that I am at that point in my life. Now, to wrap up, the thing is, systems will always exist. That's the truth. Systems will always exist. But awareness gives you the chance to either live by default or live by design. And like I mentioned before, we've been designed to live a very intentional life. We've been created to live by a specific design. That's what God did. Like, the way He designed me is completely different from the way He designed you to live. And when you come to a point where you are aware of the way He designed you, that's when your real progress begins. That's where real advancement begins. Because the truth is, life is most fulfilling when you live by design and not by default. That is truly how you live from being subject to a system to being actively part of that system and influencing the system to make it more impactful for yourself and for the people around you. So that, my dears, is how to break free from the hidden systems behind your daily lives. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.